Thomas Bennett sat at the head of his glass boardroom table, fingers steepled beneath his sharp jawline. At 28, he'd already built Bennett Innovations into one of Lagos's fastest-growing tech empires. Yet beneath the tailored suits and confident smile lay a wound that no amount of wealth could heal. As a boy, Thomas had lost both parents in a fire that swept through a nearby squatter camp. In his mind, that camp symbolized chaos, and he carried the belief that the poor were careless and untrustworthy. Every morning he awoke in his Ikoyi penthouse to a view of turquoise waters and manicured gardens, but his heart remained locked in that memory of flames and desperation. Over breakfast, Thomas dictated tweets to his assistant, Lydia. Thomas, without looking up post, "If you can't handle risk, get off my timeline." Hashtag no time for poverty. Lydia, quietly, "Yes, sir. It's scheduled for 8:15. Thomas, perfect. And cancel any meetings with that charity fund. Time is money, Lydia. Lydia, understood. By 9 o'clock, he slid into the driver's seat of his matte black Hyperion X5. The engine purred like a caged beast. He glanced at his phone. 2 missed calls from his investment director, Chike. He tapped a quick reply. Stuck in traffic. Handle the Sierra deal. Update me tonight. His life followed a rigid pattern of board meetings, investor dinners, and late-night strategy sessions. His imposing mansion in Ikoyi stood as a monument to his success and to the wall he'd built between himself and anyone less fortunate. Inciting incident. Today, however, was different. A promise of a 50 billion Nigerian nairas investment awaited him in Victoria Island, and he was already running late. As dusk settled, Thomas studied the map on his phone. The highway crawled with congestion. Without hesitation, he instructed his driver. Thomas, impatient, take Mushin. We'll cut through the side streets. I'll make that flight. Driver, hesitant, sir. That area isn't exactly smooth. Thomas, coldly, I know the risks. Just drive. The road narrowed into a rumble of uneven asphalt, flanked by crumbling buildings and flickering streetlights. Thomas scrolled through emails, oblivious to the surroundings, until the car shuddered violently. Driver, sir, something's wrong with the engine. Thomas, frowning, that's impossible. Check the gauges. Driver calling back, oil pressure's gone, sir. We're overheating. Thomas slammed a hand on the dashboard. He pulled his phone from his pocket, tapped the roadside assistance app. No signal. He tried his mobile again. Nothing. An uneasy knot settled in his chest. He ordered the driver to pull over. Dust swirled around the idling hypercar as the engine coughed and died, leaving behind a thin wisp of smoke. Thomas stepped out, the evening air stinging his tailored shirt. He surveyed the narrow street. Children darted past carrying plastic buckets, and a stray dog barked at a flickering lamp post. He propped open the hood, peering into the tangled machinery. His jaw clenched. Thomas, muttering, great. Just great. This better be fixed in 5 minutes. He closed the hood and dialed his operations manager, attempting calm. Thomas, Ebera, it's Thomas. My car died in Mushin. Get a relief vehicle here now. I can't miss this meeting. Ebera, over phone on it, sir. Should be there in 20. Thomas, through gritted teeth, make it 10. And send a driver familiar with these roads. Yet even as he spoke, his signal flickered out. He ended the call, shoulders slumped. The street lamps cast long shadows across rows of shuttered shops. In that moment, Thomas Bennett, the man who believed he could conquer any challenge with money, was utterly powerless. He closed his eyes, drawing in a breath of humid air. Behind him lay the safety of Ikoyi. Before him, the labyrinth of a world he'd spent his life fearing. And at that threshold, the billionaire's prejudice would soon be tested. Street boys ambush. Thomas Bennett had just closed the hood of his matte black hypercar when 2 lanky figures emerged from the shadows. Jay Clark, a wiry 17-year-old with a cheap gold chain, nodded to his partner, Malik Hughes. Jay, whispering, that's the ride, Malik. Look at that plate, Ikoyi VIP. Malik, grinning, easy money, boss. Let's go. Before Thomas could react, Malik lunged forward and wrenched the wallet from the billionaire's jacket. Jay whipped out his phone and clicked live on Instagram. Jay, into camera, yo. Live from Mushin. Check it. Hashtag billionaire down. Malik rifled through Thomas's pockets, tossing credit cards and receipts aside. In seconds, Jay's live feed had dozens of viewers, hungry for real-time drama. Thomas shouting, "Hey, give that back." Driver, stepping forward, "You have no right." But Jay shoved the driver back and vaulted over the car's hood. Malik slipped the last item, a sleek phone, into his belt, smirking. "Malik, see you around, rich boy." They vanished into the alley, laughter echoing off crumbling walls. Thomas stood frozen, his chest tight. He looked at his driver, shoulders slumped. "Driver, softly, sir." "I'm sorry." Thomas, voice shaking, "No, don't apologize. They took everything." Enter Iris Montgomery. At that moment, a figure burst from the fringe of the streetlight. Iris Montgomery, a thin 23-year-old with paint-stained jeans and tangled hair, sprinted after the thieves. Her bare feet pounded the dusty ground as she closed the gap with surprising speed. Iris, yelling, "Hey, stop, you thieves!" Malik turned, startled, and tried to flee. Iris grabbed his arm and twisted sharply, sending him off balance. He dropped the wallet. Malik, grunting out, "Get off me, girl." Iris held her ground, eyes blazing. "Iris, you picked the wrong person to mess with." Jay, still streaming, halted just out of reach. He watched in disbelief as Iris retrieved the leather wallet and dropped it at Thomas's feet. Thomas, stammering, "Thank you. But who are you?" Across the street, a bystander raised a phone and recorded Iris in mid-tackle. The clip pinged on his social media within seconds. Bystander, laughing, "That was epic. Hashtag Street Angel for real." Within minutes, thousands had liked and shared the clip. The hashtag trended across Lagos. A deal in the dark. Thomas bent and picked up his wallet, inspecting it for damage. His hands trembled as he checked for cash, barely enough to call a taxi. His phone was gone. Thomas, quietly, "I'm stranded here." Driver, winced, "No signal. No money. We can't call anyone." Iris wiped sweat from her brow. She shrugged off her backpack and offered him a tired smile. "Iris, I can't fix your car, but I'll stay with it tonight. No tow service until morning." Thomas, surprised, "Why would you do that?" Iris, firmly, "Because it's wrong for two kids to rob you." "You seemed hurt." He glanced at the dark street, then back at Iris. Her torn clothes and smudged face contrasted sharply with his crisp suit, yet her posture was proud. "Thomas, I don't even know your name." "Iris Montgomery." "Now, what will you give me for my trouble?" Thomas patted empty pockets. He bowed his head, ashamed. "Thomas, I have nothing right now, but I promise, first thing in the morning, I'll arrange payment." Iris, raising an eyebrow, "A promise is all I need." She stuffed her hands into her jacket pockets and scanned the horizon. "Iris, come on. You need to get back to safety. I know the way." Guided escape. Iris led Thomas and his driver through a maze of narrow alleys. Broken glass crunched beneath their feet. A stray dog barked from behind a rusted fence. Power lines flickered overhead. Driver, whispering to Thomas, "This is worse than I imagined." Thomas, "Keep quiet and follow her." Iris paused at a collapsed wall. "Iris, this shortcut takes us to the main road near the market. Watch your step." They squeezed through a gap. Thomas's polished shoes caught on jagged bricks, scuffing the leather. Thomas, grimacing, "Great." Iris, softening, "Don't worry. You'll be back on asphalt soon." They moved quickly, Iris scouting ahead. She pointed to a dimly lit junction. "Iris, turn right here. Then straight until you see the big billboard. Can't miss it." Thomas, "You know this area well." Iris, "I grew up 2 streets over. Found art supplies in trash bins, begged for scraps from neighbors. Been on these roads my whole life." Thomas looked at her boots, caked with dust and paint streaks. "Thomas, you're an art student, right?" Iris, smiling faintly, was, "Lost my home when the landlord raised the rent. Still draw every chance I get." They rounded a corner to find the highway's faint glow ahead. Relief washed over Thomas's face. "Thomas, thank you, Iris. I underestimated you." Iris, shrugging, You were robbed. I helped. Doesn't need big words. He hesitated, then held out his empty hand. Thomas, promise me you'll come by tomorrow. I want to see those drawings. Iris, laughing, we'll see if you keep that promise, Mr. Bennett. Under the hazy streetlight, Thomas Bennett saw not a ragged stranger, but a person of courage and dignity. And for the first time, his heart felt less like a locked vault and more like it might open. Return to the mansion. The next morning, the first light of dawn filtered through the tall windows of Bennett Innovations' guest wing. Iris Montgomery stepped onto the driveway just as the sun painted the Lagos skyline gold. The matte black hypercar stood exactly how she and Thomas had left it. Iris, softly to herself, just like I said. Thomas burst out of the front door in a crisp white shirt and jeans, hair still damp from the shower. He jogged down the steps, relief evident in his eyes. Thomas, Iris, you did it. You kept your promise. Iris offered him a shy smile as she wiped a smudge of dust from the car's fender. Iris, night was long, but it didn't touch her. Thomas, placing a hand on the car's roof, you were right here, watching over everything. He turned toward the grand iron gates of the mansion, their black swirls gleaming in the morning light. Thomas, I want you to come inside. Until you get back on your feet, you can stay under this roof. Iris's eyes widened. She glanced at the sprawling lawn, the polished marble floors visible beyond the open front doors. Iris, Mr. Bennett, I couldn't impose. Thomas, firmly call me Thomas. And you're not imposing. You saved me. Consider this a small repayment. She hesitated, but Thomas stepped aside, gesturing toward the entrance. With a deep breath, Iris followed him into the cool marble hall, the weight of her tattered backpack suddenly feeling far lighter. Family friction. No sooner had Iris placed her bag in the guest room than a commotion rose in the main foyer. Victoria Bennett, Thomas's mother, entered with her arms folded tightly across her chest. Behind her flounced Emily Bennett, Thomas's younger sister, filming the scene on her phone. Victoria, icy smile. Thomas, darling, is this street scum? Emily, into camera, guys, you won't believe who's in our house right now. Charity Case Central. Hashtag House of Hate. Iris stiffened, cheeks burning. Thomas stepped between them, eyes blazing. Thomas, mother, Emily, this is Iris Montgomery. She helped me last night, and she's my guest. Victoria, haughtily guest? You pick up anyone off the gutter and bring them here? Emily, mocking, tell us, Iris, did you livestream your rescue? Or hoping for Instagram fame? Emily held up her phone theatrically, the screen already streaked with the trending hashtag and snarky emojis. A small crowd of servants and security personnel hovered in the corridor, uneasy. Iris, voice trembling but dignified, I wasn't looking for fame. I just did what was right. Victoria, sneering, right? You could have been robbed, or worse. Our Thomas is too good for this rabble. Thomas's jaw clenched. He held up a hand, silencing them. Thomas, quiet, fierce enough. Iris is under my protection. And if either of you dare insult her again, you'll be leaving this house. Victoria's lips curled in a petulant snarl, but she recognized the steel in her son's gaze. Emily lowered her phone, her smirk faltering. Thomas turned to Iris. Thomas, gently, I'm sorry you had to endure that. Iris, softly, it's fine. I've heard worse from worse places. At that moment, Lydia, Thomas's executive assistant, appeared at the top of the grand staircase. Lydia, sir, the PR team is calling. They've seen the hashtag Street Angel posts. They want to discuss the fallout. Thomas, taking a deep breath, send them in. As Iris stepped back, Thomas faced his family once more. Thomas, this is my house, my family, and Iris is staying here. Victoria and Emily exchanged a silent glance, then swept past them both toward the upper floors, heels clicking indignantly on the marble. Public backlash and support. Within minutes, the Bennett Innovations conference room filled with Thomas's PR team. Screens on every wall flickered with live feeds, snippets of last night's robbery, Iris's rescue, even clips of his family's public insults. The hashtag Street Angel trended at the top of Twitter in Nigeria and abroad. Below were supportive comments. Real hero. Give her a job. Shame on the Bennetts. Alongside mocking memes of Victoria portrayed as a snarling lioness and Iris as a glowing, avenging angel. Head of PR, adjusting her glasses, Thomas. This is unprecedented. The public is rallying behind Iris. She's become the face of grassroots courage. Meanwhile, your mother's comments have sparked outrage. People are calling for a boycott of Bennett Innovations. Thomas, leaning forward, then we pivot. We don't apologize for Iris. She doesn't need it. Instead, we highlight her bravery. He pointed at the largest screen where a graphic read, #FallenRise, celebrating everyday heroes. Thomas, we launch a campaign, #FallenRise, showcasing stories like Iris's. We fund her art education and set up a grant for other underprivileged youths. We turn this moment into something positive. PR director, brilliant. We already have footage of her rescue in stunning slow motion. We can cut a short film, the night a billionaire needed a hero. Thomas, exactly. And we'll announce that Iris will be joining our new community outreach program. A public partnership, her story, our platform. A murmur of approval spread through the room. Screens updated in real time. Supportive tweets replaced angry ones. News outlets ran live teasers, and the #FallenRise logo began appearing on Instagram stories. Head of social media. Engagement is off the charts. Within an hour, we've got over 1 million impressions. People are donating to the Snail Fund for her art materials. Thomas, smiling for the first time since donghood. Let them see what real innovation looks like. Lifting people up, not pulling them down. Meanwhile, back in the mansion's hallway, Iris waited with Lydia, who smiled warmly at her. Lydia, you have no idea how much good you've done, Iris. This campaign, it could change lives. Iris, quietly, I just did what I thought was right. Lydia, sometimes that's enough to start a revolution. From the glass doors of the conference room, Thomas appeared and beckoned Iris inside. Thomas, come see. You're part of this now, officially. Iris followed him, stepping into the glow of the screens. As she watched her story unfold, a wave of pride washed over her. She glanced at Thomas, whose eyes sparkled with conviction. Iris, softly, thank you for everything. Thomas, gently, no. Thank you for showing me what courage really looks like. And as the #FallenRise campaign took flight, both of them understood that, together, they would challenge every prejudice and build something far greater than wealth. A bridge between worlds. Mother and sister's dark plan. In the hush of late evening, the grand library of the Bennett mansion was lit only by a single desk lamp. Stacks of leather-bound books lined the walls, and the polished mahogany desk gleamed under the soft glow. Victoria Bennett paced the length of the carpet, her emerald silk robe whispering against the floor. Across from her, Emily Bennett perched anxiously on the edge of a velvet armchair, phone in hand. Victoria, voice low, urgent, she's not family, Emily. Don't you understand? If Thomas grows too close to that street girl, she will inherit alongside us. We work too hard to let an outsider claim our legacy. Emily, biting her lip, I know, mother. But are you certain this is the only way? Victoria stopped pacing and fixed Emily with a hard stare. Victoria, Thomas wouldn't listen if I begged him. He's blinded by gratitude and whatever infatuation he has with Iris Montgomery. No, this is the only solution. She opened a small, velvet-lined box on her desk and withdrew a clear glass vial filled with amber liquid. Victoria, a slow-acting toxin, virtually undetectable in red wine. I tested it on a lab sample. No color change, no smell, no taste. By tomorrow night at dinner, he will appear merely exhausted, maybe ill. The doctor will confirm it's stress. In his weakened state, we change his will. Emily swallowed hard, staring at the vial. Emily, and if someone finds out? Victoria, smiling thinly, they won't. We stick to the plan. You'll practice your alibi, that you were asleep the whole time. Emily slipped her phone from her pocket and tapped record. She practiced in a hushed whisper, eyes trained on her reflection in the glass window. Emily, into camera, I was in my room all night. I never left. When Mother fetched me in the morning, I was still sleeping. She ended the recording and secured the video in a hidden folder. Fear and excitement warred in her expression. Emily, quietly, it feels wrong. Victoria, you'll get used to it. For the future of this family. Victoria poured 2 drops from the vial into a crystal decanter of Thomas's favorite Bordeaux. The liquid shimmered but appeared unchanged. She replaced the stopper and slid the decanter into a silver tray. Victoria, by dinner, everything will be in our hands. As the sisters departed, the soft click of the door echoed through the still room, leaving behind the faint scent of jasmine for Victoria's robe and the silent promise of betrayal. Iris uncovers the plot. The next evening, Iris Montgomery returned to the mansion early to help prepare the dining room. She moved silently, adjusting candlesticks, straightening napkins, and placing silver cutlery in precise alignment. The chandelier overhead sparkled as she passed, her worn shoes scuffing softly on the marble floor. Iris paused by the drinks table. The crystal decanter caught her eye. She recognized Thomas's favorite wine. As she reached to polish the glass, she noticed something odd. Victoria Bennet's hands trembled as she lifted the decanter to pour. Iris, thinking to herself, she always pours the wine with such grace. Why is her hand shaking now? Iris stepped back. Victoria and Emily stood close, whispering. Emily's phone lay face up on a nearby side table. The soft glow of its screen hinted that she had been recording. Iris, softly, Mrs. Bennet, is everything all right? Victoria startled, nearly spilling the wine. Victoria, forcing a smile, oh, just tired, dear. Would you mind opening the dining room doors? Iris, of course. As Iris pivoted to open the heavy oak doors, she discreetly held her own phone against her side, set to audio record. Through the ajar doors, she captured their conversation. Victoria, hissing, once he's gone, everything's ours. The will transfers to us, no traces. Emily, voice quivering, I'll stick to my alibi. No one will suspect a thing. Victoria, good. Now stop shaking that decanter. Each word sent a chill through Iris's spine. Her pulse raced. She slipped back to the steward's closet with trembling fingers, then slipped the recording into her jacket pocket. Swallowing hard, she texted Lydia, Thomas's executive assistant. Need backup. Watch live feed. Moments later, once the guests were seated, Iris returned to her side station. Her mind raced. She glanced at the wine decanter, then at the door to the dining room. Summoning courage, she tapped Go Live on her social media app. Iris, quietly, voice steady, sorry everyone. I have to share something important. Please watch. She held her phone's front camera toward the door and let the audio play. Viewers' reactions poured in. Heart emojis, shocked faces, frantic comments. Within seconds, hashtag Bennett Poison Plot exploded across the platform. The live count rose toward 200,000 viewers in under a minute. Commenters, no way. Call the police. That's Mrs. Bennett. Iris ended the live stream and slipped backstage. Security officers, alerted by the spike in activity, rushed toward the dining hall. The staff looked to Iris in confusion and alarm. Head butler, urgent whisper, Miss Montgomery, there's a disturbance. Please follow me. Iris nodded, heart pounding. She moved down the corridor and crept to a side door. Through the keyhole, she saw Victoria glancing nervously around the table, wine glass in hand. Victoria, whispering, oblivious to the live stream, he'll be ours soon. Iris slipped away and dialed Inspector Adeola on her phone, her voice hushed but firm. Iris, Inspector, it's Iris Montgomery. I'm at 14 Ikoyi Crescent. My recording just went live. Please send officers immediately. She listened to the inspector assure her help was on the way. With shaky breaths, Iris braced herself for what would come next. Police intervention. The flicker of red and blue lights painted the long hallway as Lagos police units arrived. Inspector Adeola, accompanied by 4 officers, marched purposefully through the foyer toward the dining room. Servants and a handful of Bennett staff watched anxiously from doorways as the inspector raised his voice. Inspector Adeola, Victoria Bennett. Emily Bennett, step away from the table and put your hands where we can see them. Victoria froze, her hand hovering above the decanter. Emily's phone slipped from her grasp, clattering on the floor. The room fell silent. Victoria, voice trembling, this is absurd. You can't just barge in. Inspector Adeola, you are both under arrest for attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Cuffs, please. Two officers moved in swiftly and snapped gleaming handcuffs onto Victoria's wrists. She gasped, a look of fuming disbelief on her face. Victoria, Thomas, please, you don't understand. Thomas, stepping forward, voice cracking, Mother, what have you done? Another officer cuffed Emily, whose eyes brimmed with tears. She stuttered an apology. Emily, I was only following Mother. Inspector Adeola produced Iris's recording and held up the device. Inspector Adeola, we have irrefutable evidence of your plot, a recording of your own words. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The officers led the Bennett women away, their silk robes trailing behind them. Security personnel parted like the Red Sea as the inspector and his team carried them down the corridor to waiting police vehicles. In the dining room, Thomas stood frozen, eyes glazed with tears. The empty chairs and polished silverware gleamed under chandeliers that now seemed too bright, too cruel. Thomas, barely above a whisper, my own family attempted to kill me. He sank into his chair, burying his face in his hands. A stunned silence held the room, until Iris slipped quietly beside him. Iris, softly, Thomas. I'm so sorry you had to see that. Thomas, voice strangled, I trusted them. I believe they loved me. Iris placed one hand gently on his shoulder. Iris, sometimes people's love is all about what they want. Yours isn't. You have the truth. You have me. Thomas looked up, eyes red-rimmed, and met her gaze. Gratitude and grief swirled in his expression. Thomas, thank you for saving my life again, and for telling me the truth. Iris, I'd do 1,000 times over. Public shame and family division. By the following morning, the scandal had spread across every news outlet and social platform. Breakfast television shows replayed clips of Victoria and Emily's dramatic arrests. The hashtag Bennett Poison Plot trended nationwide, while TikTok creators remixed the mansion's security footage into memes mocking the disgraced Bennetts. Newspapers ran banner headlines. Billionaire's mother, sister arrested in poison plot. Inside the shocking attempt to murder tech mogul Thomas Bennett. Colleagues and business partners reached out to Thomas with messages of sympathy. Investors demanded statements. Journalists camped outside the gated driveway, cameras trained on the front doors. Thomas summoned his PR director, Lydia, to his home office. Thomas, Lydia, how's the fallout? Lydia, grimly, it's explosive. But people admire that Iris, and you chose truth. The hashtag Fall and Rise campaign now looks prophetic, highlighting Iris's courage and your integrity. Thomas, good. I want to double down. Let's launch a foundation in Iris's name, supporting victims of abuse and anyone fighting for justice. Lydia, already in motion. Donations are pouring in. Your statement of unity with Iris is circulating positively. Meanwhile, in the guest wing, Iris prepared to leave for the day, but Thomas intercepted her. Thomas, Iris, would you consider leading the new foundation? You deserve it. Iris shocked me. Why would you trust me with that? Thomas, because you're honest. You stand for what's right. That matters more than any pedigree. Iris's eyes brimmed with tears as she nodded. Iris, I'd be honored. In an upper-floor bedroom, Victoria and Emily sat in separate cells at the police station, their silk robes replaced by standard-issue uniforms. They listened to a police radio. Radio announcer, support for Thomas Bennett and Iris Montgomery surges worldwide. Hashtag Bennett Poison Plot has united social media in outrage. Victoria covered her face with her hands. Emily's phone sat on the table beside her, notifications of public scorn flashing across the screen. Emily, whispering to Victoria, Mother, what have we done? Victoria, voice hollow, our greed destroyed us. Back at the mansion, Thomas and Iris stood on the balcony, looking out over the city. The morning sun reflected on the lagoon below. For a moment, Lagos felt both vast and intimate. A world Thomas once thought he controlled, now filled with unpredictable humanity. Thomas, I never imagined my life would depend on a stranger's bravery. Iris, I'm not a stranger anymore. He slid his hand into hers. Thomas, no, you're family. The only family I trust. Behind them, the city bustled onward. And as they faced the future, together, they knew the corridors of power could harbor dark conspiracies, but courage and truth would always light the way. Thomas's transformation. The morning sun glinted off the banners draped across the refurbished community hall in Mushin. A simple stage stood beneath strings of fairy lights, microphones ready. Thomas Bennett, once the aloof tech mogul of Ikoyi, stepped forward in a light gray suit with no tie. His posture relaxed, eyes earnest. Thomas into camera, good afternoon, Lagos. Yesterday, I was a man blinded by prejudice, convinced that the poor were unworthy of my time or compassion. Today, I apologize to Iris, to this community, and to every person I've ever judged too harshly. He paused as a murmur of approval rose from the crowd, and the livestream view count climbed into the hundreds of thousands. Thomas, together with Iris, I'm launching the hashtag Iris Initiative, a scholarship and mentorship program for talented students from slums who dream of becoming artists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. We'll fund tuition, supplies, and workshops because potential, not privilege, must determine success. Iris watched from the front row, emotions flickering across her face. After Thomas concluded, she joined him on stage. He took her hand and faced the cameras again. Thomas, softly, this isn't just my vision. It's ours, built on Iris's courage and everyone's belief that change is possible. Iris, smiling, thank you, Thomas. This means everything. Flashes popped from phones and cameras as volunteers handed out application forms to local youth. For the first time, the hall buzzed not with gossip or charity appeals, but with genuine hope. A wedding to remember. 3 weeks later, under the same fairy lights, Thomas and Iris stood in a refurbished community courtyard lined with bougainvillea. The walls, once gray and crumbling, now sported vibrant murals painted by local artists celebrating unity. A simple arch of jasmine blossoms framed them as an elderly pastor from the neighborhood raised his voice. Pastor, warmly, friends, we are gathered here today to celebrate love that bridges divides, wealth and want, city and slum, hypercar and barefoot courage. The ceremony was streamed live on multiple platforms. Comments flooded in. Hashtag Billionaire Mary Street Angel. Best wedding ever. Love without borders, FTW. This is a Nigerian fairy tale we needed. Iris's gown was modest. A white lace dress that ended above her ankles, revealing bare feet dusted with earth. Thomas, too, kicked off his shoes and stepped on his soft dirt. Pastor, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may seal your vows with a dance. As the first notes of a low drumbeat and guitar rose, Thomas offered his hand. Iris placed her free hand on his shoulder. They moved slowly, barefoot in the dirt courtyard, laughter and tears mingling among guests. A drone camera captured the moment. Fairy lights overhead, the couple swaying gently, community children clapping around them. Within minutes, the clip went viral. From roads to riches, love conquers all. After the dance, Thomas lifted Iris and spun her around. She laughed, her dark braids fanning out like a halo. He kissed her forehead as the crowd burst into cheers. Thomas, Iris, in you I found my true direction. Iris, and in you, I found a home that's bigger than any mansion. They seated themselves at a simple wooden table for a modest reception. Jollof rice, plantains, and bottles of palm wine. Cameras panned over smiling faces. Somewhere in the back, Victoria's empty seat reminded everyone how far prejudice had fallen. Epilogue hook. 6 months later, the sun rose over the very slum where Iris once slept on cardboard. A makeshift art studio, donated by the hashtag Iris Initiative, buzzed with children painting murals on corrugated iron walls. Iris, now clad in overalls splattered with every color of paint, crouched beside a lanky 10-year-old boy. Iris, encouraging, "That's it, Tund. Let your hand dance across the wall." Tund, grinning, "I painted the car you rescued your dad with." Iris, laughing, "Exactly. You have a brilliant eye for detail." Thomas stood by the doorway, leaning against a colorful pillar. He watched the scene with pride. He carried a stack of sketchbooks that volunteers would distribute. When Iris noticed him, she waved him over. "Thomas, how many have we given out so far?" Iris, "Over 200. And applications for next term's grants just opened." Thomas, smiling, "Look at this place. It's alive with stories." Iris slid her arm through his and led him toward a large mural depicting their wedding scene. Two figures barefoot beneath fairy lights, hands clasped over a dirt courtyard. Below, someone had painted in bold letters, "Stay humble. Stay kind. Hashtag fall and rise." Iris, "This is our final image." Thomas, softly, "A perfect send-off for our story, and the beginning of so many others." He lifted his phone and captured a photo of them standing before the mural. The post went live. From a night of danger to a lifetime of hope. Stay humble. Stay kind. Hashtag fall and rise. Within seconds, likes and heart emojis poured in from around the world. As the mentoring session began, Thomas and Iris shared a quiet glance, knowing they had turned a moment of prejudice into a movement of compassion, and their love into a testament that true richness is measured by the lives we uplift.